All right, so you're going to be okay. Maybe we start there. You're going to be okay. You might be a little overwhelmed right now. There is a lot going on. You were not psychologically or culturally prepared for this level of stimulation. You've seen more content, more images, more stimulation than any generation of humans that's ever been alive. We're the first generation of humans that has access to the internet. So we weren't prepared for any of this. We don't have the internal infrastructure to handle this amount of information, but we're going to build the muscles to do so. How? By watching videos like this. There's not a whole lot going on. There's not going to be a lot of hyper-stimulating music, not a lot of crazy edits. It's just going to be me talking to you for an extended period of time. And if you can train yourself to engage with me in this kind of format, you will slowly but surely build up your attention in the same way that you build up your muscles in the gym. There's a concept called progressive overload. You make the task incrementally harder over time. You push a 10-pound dumbbell, then over time you're pushing a 15-pound dumbbell. It's exactly what you're going to do with content. So if any of this gets to be a little bit too much, a little too boring, you feel like you can't do it, just take a break. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to press the space bar. It's going to pause. Okay? You're going to tap the screen if you're watching on your phone. And you're going to take a deep breath like this. Ready? And you're going to remember that you're a human being that is in control. You are in control. Okay? We're going to talk about all of this. You can consider this your survival guide for the digital age. Okay? We're living in what can feel like a technological dystopia. They went and did it, folks. They built addictive entertainment technology that keeps us scrolling and subdued. Okay? They did this intentionally. But I'd like to open all of this by saying you're going to be okay. We're going to get into it together. We're going to face the truth. And we're going to leave with a little bit of clarity on what to do. And that would be pretty good because you're in control and we're going to figure it out. Thank you for being here. Let's do this. Number one, we have to open our eyes. We have to face reality right now. We are living in the most overwhelming period of human history. We're living in a media environment that has been specifically designed to overwhelm us and to capitalize on our attention. Our attention is the most valuable resource in the information age. That makes sense, right? With our attention, we can be advertised to, we can be converted into advertising dollars, and we can be monetized. And so in a very real sense, our time spent on social media, on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, is problematic because we've been turned into the product, right? We are bought and sold like a commodity. Facebook released an internal communication that identified the lifetime value of a 13-year-old user. It was like $270. That's what we're worth to Facebook, to Meta. Okay. I'm not calling anyone out right now. This isn't like a rise to, take down the tech overlords. That'll come later. For now, let's just take control of ourselves, yeah? Let's accept that we are in control, that we have some basic autonomy. And it all starts by opening our eyes. We have to accept this truth, and we have to embrace the confrontation of it. One of the things that we've become not so good at in the recent past is, as a generation of individuals, is the ability to confront difficult truths. When we're faced with discomfort, it's very easy for us to turn away from that confrontation and turn to quick hit escapism through the form of cheap dopamine consumption. And that's pretty understandable, because when there's discomfort and you have immediately accessible entertainment or pleasure, obviously we're going to choose that. Because we're human beings, we are biological creatures, and that doesn't make us morally weak or bad people. We have to acknowledge our biology here, and we have to flow with it. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take responsibility for ourselves. Obviously, we're dealing with a pretty big problem. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all of the social media platforms that we lose hours of our time to were designed to take advantage of us. The physical world has been fully capitalized. It's been turned into real estate. But our mental brain space is still up for grabs. And that's really what we're talking about today. How do we take back control of that? We have to open our eyes. We have to accept the truth. We have to say, no, I'm going to actually have autonomy. It starts by doing this. Ready? Let's do it again. Ready? Look around you right now. Seriously, don't click away from the video, but look around your screen. Observe the little physical details all around you. There is a physical world to be observed, appreciated, and communicated through art all around you. Your conscious experience is a precious thing. This brings us to point number 2. We need to train our attention. I've kind of already touched on this, but our attention is a muscle that we can train the same way we train our muscles in the gym. And what we have to do now is train our attention to turn to meaningful places. Like what? Creative work, conscious consumption of information that fuels the creative work and inspires us to think about new ideas. Human connection, actually talking to the people around us, learning how to forge real relationships online, physical care, exercise, moving your body, enjoying in the pleasure that is physical exploration. Nutrition, eating things that energize you. These are very basic things. They get talked about a lot. And I have another video on it over here if you want to watch that. But the point is, these things are accessible to us. You can scale each of them back to the level you're at. You don't need to go out and run a marathon. You don't need to go out and write the next great American novel. But you can engage in these things. You can give your attention to these places today, right now. In fact, watching this video is a form of conscious consumption. You're watching it for a reason. It has a purpose. You're not passively accepting it. You are making the active choice right now, and right now, and right now, and right now to stay here. And thank you for staying here. I hope you find it helpful. Training our attention is something we have control over, and that's a beautiful thing, because no matter how overwhelming this place gets, no matter how overstimulated we are by quick hit, cheap dopamine, we're in control of what we're looking at. You are in control. There is not technology that takes that control away from you. Yes, it's very easy to feel distracted and to feel dependent on the quick hit pleasure that resides in your pocket at all times, but you're in control. You're driving, and it's very important that you make that realization and commit to it. Okay, number 3, you're going to gamify your life. In other words, you're going to build some systems. Okay? In the words of our Heavenly Father, James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, we don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. That's a very fancy way of saying that we're not perfect people and we shouldn't plan to be. What we need are some systems that turn our life into a waking video game that we are designed to win. So the real art of this is finding these systems that we've talked about and applying yourself to them in a way that is challenging, because it should be challenging, and we're going to feel a certain inherent reward from overcoming challenges in the same way you do in a video game, but not so difficult that you give up on the game and turn right back to self-soothing or pleasure-seeking. Okay? So what this actually is restructuring your reward systems. So if you watch that video about the systems and how to escape a dopamine hole and how to win back your attention, that's great. Now you need to set those up in your life so that they're doable, so that they feel like that you can accomplish them, okay? This is your hero's journey, is the way to think about that. As humans, we're narrative creatures. We respond very strongly to story. We learn through stories. It's why so much of our culture comes from myths. Now we have people that are kind of moving into something else, but the truth is we need a myth. We need a great story to connect to, and probably one of the reasons we've turned to pleasure in mass is that we don't have a story. We don't have a great story to commit ourselves to. We have hyper-individualism. We have a societal pull towards instant gratification. Gratify your appetites. Do what you want to do. And this can be difficult. But maybe we can use it to our advantage. Maybe we can say, okay, you want to be the protagonist of your life? You want to prioritize your desires? Great. That's awesome. You can be the protagonist, but let's aim you at autonomy. Let's aim you at upward momentum. And then over time, we'll turn that so that your protagonist goals are aimed at collective growth. We'll get to that in a second. Just keep it anchored. I know we're covering a lot right now. We're setting up systems in your life so that your life is a video game you want to play, so that it's a movie, so that it's an interesting story. And in the beginning, that starts with the most basic things. You need to accept the heroic significance of sitting up, and then standing up, and then putting your socks on, and then your shoes on, and then taking the dog for the walk, and then brushing your teeth. I talk about this all the time. But let's romanticize those things. Let's do it. Because that's significant. And when you're living in an information environment that wants to keep you zombified, that wants to keep you in bed, rotting, scrolling, turning to advertising dollars and spending your own dollars on more self-improvement products because you're living in a constant cycle of shame and guilt, and I'm not good enough, so I have to make a change, so I'm going to buy this $1,000 program, so I'm going to do this, so I'm going to keep scrolling, and the algorithm keeps me right here. Instead of doing that, you're going to kind of lost what I was saying there. You're going to take small actions that generate some form of positive momentum. That is a form of rebellion. In a world where you're zombified by content, taking small actions is a form of rebellion, and it's heroically significant. Maybe it's your hero's journey. That's kind of a cool thing here, is that we're really not just pursuing self-improvement. I think self-improvement is a very limited narrative. It's a very limited narrative. Your life cannot be defined by a bar chart, like up and to the right. Oh, I'm making little incremental progress, and over time I'll get better and better and better. That might be what it looks like, but isn't that a boring story? Don't you want to live in a narrative that is far richer and deeper and more complicated than self-improvement? Self-improvement is a byproduct of character creation. You are a character living in a 3D video game in a story. You live in a narrative. Your ability to recognize that narrative, to see it, and then to participate in it is where the meaning comes from. And so self-improvement is just one aspect of it. You know, Bilbo and Frodo and Harry Potter and every single protagonist you've ever identified with did not set out for self-improvement, but it occurred as a byproduct of going on a quest that was bigger than themselves. And that's the same thing we're going to do here. Now, in the beginning, the quest is, can I sit up? Can I brush my teeth? Can I take care of myself? Can I train my attention to turn to meaningful places? Can I control my conscious experience? And you can. You totally can. Let's just sit with that for a second, because maybe your brain's going like, oh, I don't know if I can. You totally can. I'll prove it to you. We're going to sit in silence for 5 seconds now, and you're not going to leave this video. Maybe you will because you're a little rebellious. But if you decide to stay to prove to yourself you have attention, let's do it. Ready? Still here. You're driving. That's the smallest proof that you can gather. You're still here. Okay. Maybe that was kind of cheesy, but you're driving the boat. You're steering the boat. You are in control. And it's very, very important to recognize that, to train your attention to turn to those meaningful places, and then to set up systems so that you stay consistent. That's the other piece here, is you're not going to change your life all at once. And you probably don't need to. You're probably doing better than you realize. You're probably pretty hard on yourself. You probably have a negative voice in your head that actively self-sabotages you because you're infused with so much potent self-improvement content, and you've been comparing yourself to celebrities and the upper echelon of self-improvers since you were a small child, and your standards are way off. You realize humans used to live in small communities, and we were solely focused on the longevity and the vitality of the community we were in. We were detached from our own need to be excellent, and that, obviously that need has driven us to create some pretty remarkable things, some remarkable art. But there's more than just you, and you don't need to self-improve your life to the max to live meaningfully. I'm still learning this. I'm not a guru. We're all in this together. Onward. Number 4, you're going to choose your adventure. Like we've established, you're a protagonist in this story, and you need an adventure so that self-improvement happens as a natural byproduct, so that you can feel like you're engaged in something, so that the challenges of daily life are happening for a reason. And the quickest way to do this is to commit your newfound energy, the energy that you reclaimed by taking control of your attention and diverting it to places that are meaningful, that actually fuel you. You're going to commit those newfound energies to something that's bigger than yourself. What's a problem that's bigger than you? That's something to think about, right? Maybe you're not there yet. Maybe you still have to just take care of yourself. Maybe you have to get into the kitchen and make yourself some scrambled eggs and have an apple and go outside for a walk and realize that this is what it actually means to take care of yourself. Maybe that's where you're at, and that's fine. But one way or the other, whether you're doing it for you or whether you're going out to save the world, you're going to have to prepare yourself for dragons. Dragons are the adversaries. They are built into our conscious experience, and we wouldn't want to live life without them, because that's kind of what this story is. There is no story, there is no protagonist without conflict, without an antagonist. And you need dragons. Sometimes they're not going to be physical dragons. They're going to be your inner adversaries. The fear, the stress, the uncertainty in the path, not knowing if you're cut out for this, doing something that you haven't done before, expanding your sense of identity by doing new things. Those are all dragons. They're difficult, and you'll have to face them. The trick is, face the dragon that you're most equipped to conquer right now. And you'll find out where that is by trying stuff out. Oh, going for a run was a little bit too far. I definitely can't do this. Or I'm not ready for this. And so now I want to go back into self-soothing. Great, that's an awesome data point to pay attention to, because now I can start it a little smaller. Okay, I'm going to go for a 10-minute walk. That is doable. Great. That's a dragon that I can conquer right now. Awesome. That's number 4. Choose your adventure. You're living in a meaningful story. When you're living in a meaningful narrative, you'll find that the chronic consumption, the cheap dopamine consumption, is far less compelling. So rather than removing all of the substances from your life, rather than throwing your phone in the ocean, rather than doing anything extreme in the hopes that committing yourself to the black and white approach will save you, realize that you're already in the story. You know what I mean? Like, this is already the path. You don't need to make a 180 for the story to start. The story is on right now. Like, this is it. You watching this right now is part of the narrative. Right? Like, look around. Okay, great. This is it. I'm in the story. I'm the protagonist. You are. You totally are. Okay, so it's all significant. talk a little bit more about consistency. All of us know what it's like to make a big change in your life and then to not be able to stick to it, right? You make some big change. You go all the way. You throw out all your vapes. You buy running shoes, the most expensive ones you can find. When they arrive, you're ready to start your journey. And then you go and you overextend yourself and the rubber band of your self-control snaps and you fall back into the same self-soothing habits that you leaned on. Because that's really what this is. Chronic consumption is self-soothing. Like I said, you're not a morally weak person for turning to these things. You're trying to medicate yourself. You're trying to resolve pain that you're feeling on a very deep level. Now, it just so happens that you have better ways of doing this. There are more effective medications than chronic consumption. But anyway, we all know what it's like to overextend ourselves and to snap and to not get it perfect. And we all have this desire to get it perfectly right, to start this perfect streak of positive momentum that will never ever break. Today is day 1, and I will look back on day 99 and say, wow, I remember day 1. It was May 14th, and everything's changed. That doesn't really happen. Putting the significance on the day doesn't really do anything. I've had to learn this lesson many, many times. The real lesson is that the significant moment is now. It's right now. It's now. It's right now. This is it. This is the significant moment. This is the start of the journey. This is the start of the journey. The journey's already going. It never stopped and it never ended. Words, words, words. You with me? Okay. Number 5, you're going to find the others. You are not alone in this. None of us are. The reason this video exists is because we all feel this, right? We feel that this digital age is something we weren't prepared for, but that we are going to be okay. We're going to figure it out because humans are remarkably resilient creatures, and we cannot help but learn and change. We can't help it. It's a byproduct of us being alive. You are not alone. What you can do to systematically create hope and positivity within yourself is to step into a leadership role. What that means is initiating conversations, is starting to talk to other people about this stuff and about whatever, and just being an active force of connection in your world. Because people are starved of it. Be a leader. Talk to other people. This is something I remind myself to do all the time because it's hard. You know, in our little bubbles of instant gratification, we are very, very alone. And that's kind of the trend of this digital tech. It's easy for us to be algorithmically entertained, perfectly satisfied. All of our pleasure needs met at every single moment of our life. That's what we want to avoid. We actually want to be going through some discomfort, but we want to do it as a collective, as a community. Embrace humanity here, you know? You're not going to agree with everybody. You're not going to see eye to eye with everyone. I certainly don't. But if we can train ourselves to talk, we can bridge this growing divide between humans, and we can come together and maybe solve some of our problems. I think one of the coolest ideas, and maybe an idea I want to leave you with here, is that we are internet ancestors. We're the first generation of humans that has access to the internet, that has access to social media. And so our descendants will look back on this period of time and see us. They will see you. It's very likely that your great-grandchildren will look back and see you as a pioneer of the digital age, someone who was willing to train themselves to handle it, to flow with it, to use it meaningfully. Because the tech evolved faster than we did. We weren't ready for it. It's very, very overstimulating. It's easy for it to capitalize on our most base, undeveloped, immature qualities. But what will happen over this next period of time is humanity will go through a period of adolescence. We will grow up. We will learn how to navigate instant gratification, and we will build the internal muscles to live a meaningful life without the need for constant pleasure seeking. We're going to figure it out. It's going to take some patience, and it's going to take some effort. And so let's just sit with that for a second, because I know that sounds a little bit cliche, maybe a little difficult. Just sit with it. It's going to take some patience and effort, but number 1, we're not alone. We're doing it together. Number 2, the pathway is going to be fulfilling by default. It's going to be meaningful. It's going to be you on a meaningful quest as a protagonist in your conscious experience. Because if it's not, you're not going to stick to it. Right? The only way any of this works is if it's fun. Is it going to be challenging? Yes. Will there be discomfort? Yes. Will there be uncertainty? Yes. Does it require you to go into the unknown? Yes. Every day? Yes. Ultimately. But it's going to be fulfilling, and it's going to be worth it. And we're going to figure it out together. Find the others. You're not alone in this. We are all internet ancestors. And we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay.